into the current events that have passed them. Well, not past them, more like they got themselves into this mess. While exploring the area of the town of Hythe, a port city with a bustling metropolis-like feeling situation, they instead decided to go with hunting down individuals that, in all honesty, are quite dangerous. Taking out Iskar's brother, as well as the resurrected body of Q's brother, whether or not if it was Q's actual brother, is debated in her mind. Outside of the game, may or may not be. Have yet to actually learn that and may never, as when taking the bodies back for potential undeath Q&A, the body was thrown inside of a lake, whereupon that lake was attached to a different plane of existence. Without the team really connecting the dots, it was the Winter Court area of the Feywild. And so a quick snatch and grab was ensued, and everyone else jumped in to try and get it back. Well, everyone, as in Iskar and Q, Morthos and Ray, kind of got dragged along in this mess. However, you did manage to get it back, as well as kill the entity that was behind this mess. One of the court queens, specifically the Winter Court. With the entity of death within Iskar, the death was more or less permanent, but when placed upon an unfinished ritual, it was trying to revive something back, bring it back, and do something. Without actual context clues, Ray's best guess was trying to revive, rejuvenate, restore a Winter Court ruler. Not really truly knowing what might happen, Iskar Q decided to go and say, hey, let's see if we can do this first. And Iskar had a different ulterior motive to this. Q, well, more or less a way of protecting others. But, unfortunately, this is D&D, so just about everyone, except for Ray, jumped in. Zen not wanting to leave her wife, and Cerulean not wanting to leave their husband, all jumped in. Morthos considered, best protective against flames, and why not? D&D, might as well jump in as well. And so everyone did, and technically everyone also died, leaving Ray alone to see the remnants of what has transpired. In the event of the ritual, everyone just about qualified for the resurrection. The only difference was the bit of gambit and luck everyone had. And well, Morthos was accidentally prepared for this part. And Morthos cheated. Not really, part of the character. And was immediately crowned new ruling heir. But that also left everyone else dead. As soon as Morthos dragged the bodies out of the fire, it seemed that your abilities were interacting with them unknowns to you, until the Summer Court Queen came about and explained things. That in this current area, you have domain and domicile towards the souls and bodies, and can bring them back under your thrall if you so desire. Not really wanting to do that, instead you went with more of a Revivify to bring Iskar back, to see if that'll at least do something, which thankfully enough it did. And with Iskar in the wake, and with a good amount of diamonds, was able to bring everyone else back. But with the events that have transpired, with the basic annihilation of Q's family, other than her two younger brothers and mother, it's starting to see that a fracturing has occurred. How long the team will last in this current event in time? That's tough to say. But one thing has stands true. Morthos' mind has seen the 7 marks being slashed in, and well, that is the final key to a puzzle that has been solved, whether or not you wanted to or not. And Iskar currently is in a little bit of legal trouble, but we'll get to that right now. As we mentioned beforehand, Iskar is being helped, whether directly or indirectly, by the Summer Queen. And currently, due to the fact that they died, they were no longer able to hold up their end of the bargain. Whether or not by choice really didn't matter. But we'll take it from there. The Summer Queen stands towards you and then makes this gentle notion. Everyone is more than welcome to freely leave here. Everyone except you, pointing towards Iskar. As it stands now, you have not exactly held up your end of the bargain.
Forgive me, but I seem to forget what my end of the bargain was.
Quite simple. You and your wife, once given a child, were to name it the name I had given you. Can't quite do that when you're dead now, can you?
What an unfortunate turn of events. I will walk out of this place, and it will not keep me. Do you know why?
Pray tell.
Because even though I detest these games, these Fey games that you are all too eager to play, I can play them myself. The warding referred to Zold Lux. I believe you'll find that not but half an hour ago I named myself 3 times. I did not use that name. I will walk out of here.
At a game that really wouldn't work legal-wise, but we're in D&D world, so going back in game. Your name now is Iscariot, then. A name you hold true, which means any bargains, any dealings, and any gifts that I could give have now been forfeited. You're more than welcome to leave, as you are now, but I suggest never returning, regardless of the name or face you hold.
If I must return, I shall do so. I will not find the ground beneath my feet impeded by such trivial matters.
Looks towards Morthos. I do suggest if you come back into the winter area, you listen to the ruling as follows. Keep a close eye in words. Keep a close eye on people. And worst of all, trust none but yourself. It's what will keep you alive. If the Fae is unable to keep their end of the bargain, well, that's one way of them dying, whether they want to or not. And as the bearer of winter, well, that's one more way of you losing a life.
Respectfully, I do believe we shall all be taking our departure.
This isn't my domain. It is up to them to decide. Points towards Marthos. If you'll excuse me. And she simply moves away. No longer looking towards you, no longer looking towards the team, simply stepping away with each footprint, leaving a small budded rose until she is gone.
Well, I'll be damned.
That was sneaky.
Oh, that's hand's not supposed to be there anymore. Hands go. Bringing out the body and looking towards the area. The area is in a cold snap right now. More than likely, the winter will return. As long as Morthos is alive, the winter will continue within the area and probably the world. You don't really know the full grasp of this power. But you do know and can understand that any damage type you can do can then be altered into just simple cold damage, which could be useful depending on what you're going against. Out of this area. In this area, well, the Summer Queen did give you a good hint. Basically, you rule over this area, which could be beneficial, but also very dangerous to anything else around. Cerulean does look towards the team, though, and without missing a beat, does simply state, "Well then, should we get going? More than likely, we are going to encounter something on the other side of the portal now, given the current circumstances we find ourselves in."
Really hope not. I've got a book to finish.
She looks at you. What book?
Fascinating book about chronomancy.
Oh. I've never studied it myself, so your guess is as good as mine. You can tell that Zen themselves isn't exactly as chipper as they are usually. They are kind of distraught. In no way, shape, or form is she currently going to leave Q's side. Like, well, that's a given. Like, he almost died before this, and then Q jumped into the fire, trying to leave Zen there. Things aren't looking good. She will eventually recover, but as of right now, she is depressed.
Well, either way, let's head out of here.
Your team managed to get to the lake, and eventually, due to Morthos controlling the wave pool area, you can change the... Basically, once you jump inside, you freeze to death. Situation that it is, to allow passage through and through without issue. Whether or not you do so, it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, we've all been pretty beaten.
That's fair. The team info jump out first. Is able to do so without too much of an issue. The hand isn't there. I just needed to grab and drag all of you there. But the team bringing back themselves into the world of the mortal plane, you do and feel a reverberation within the world. Specifically, it's as if a vibration, quite literally, in the world, in the air, in the ground, in the sky. You can feel a rippling sensation. You're not exactly sure what's going to happen, but it's going to happen soon.
Any ideas?
Maybe. Yeah, you remember how I kind of discussed with you my mindscape and how I've gotten trapped there, yada, 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 and there's marks there. And we discovered that there's 7 keys, and each of those marks represents a key that has died. There's 7 marks now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Any Any idea on how much longer we have?
I'm unsure. We may want to talk to Phil or someone that might know about this.
You can roll history to maybe determine who might have the most information on this.
History is shit, but I'll try it anyway. Woo!
Based on the information at hand and looking at things that have transpired, there are a few people with higher clearances than Phil. Phil's clearance is currently at level 3, which isn't the highest. The other people that have higher clearances is the gentleman, which is at clearance level 4, and Ramon, who has clearance level 5. That's
So we should.
within the organization. Other people could have more information, such as the person that you met at the church in the kingdom's capital, perhaps the current ruler themselves, or maybe that one random guard you met a while ago named John.
It's John. He's the Scarlet King. Let's go murder him. Sorry.
It's fine.
Just helped him through his training arc.
And that was where we screwed up. We helped him too much.
Damn.
Damn us and being nice. So I would suggest Ramon if he has level 5 clearance, being at the highest.
You do know that he is in town somewhere. If he's within range of your watches slash messaging stones, because that's honestly what they are, you might be able to pick him up.
I mean, I'll try. Just send out the signal and trying to get Ramon's attention if he.
As soon as you do so, trying to connect to any agents within the organization that are around, you get a few pings here and there, but obviously that's Ray, Q, Iskar, Ceruleans, and yourself. But you don't get one too far off. Wow, that's a weird way of saying that. You do get another one, however, it's not that far away from you. You do and connect to that certain location and inscribe the name of Ramon. As soon as you do so, you do get a few clickbacks indicating that they are likely in silent mode, and then it goes into the messaging spell, which basically is just without needing to speak. Ramon then simply states towards you, yes, what's going on?
We've got questions that maybe you can answer. It deals with, because we know about Scarlet King, right? Outside of character. I know we talked about that.
You know of the entity known as the Crimson King. In your world. In their world, it's defined as the Scarlet King.
Well, okay.
But you know both names, so it either works.
So yeah, just tell him that we need to talk about the Crimson King.
I had a feeling this would happen one day, but might as well be today. Where are you all at? I'm assuming at Q's residential area.
Yep.
Right. I'll be there in... How long do you need to compose yourself?
Yeah, about that, you may also want to bring a couple extra members. We have some people you may want to take in.
That did not answer my question, but I will do so.
Yeah, let's just say I don't know if there's composing going on here.
Alright then, I'll be there in 10 minutes. And then they just hang up.
Which everyone would have heard that.
Yes.
So 10 minutes. I don't know what we should do about Goo Boy. But as Martha says that, he would look at Iscariot, since in a sense it's his brother. It's now just a puddle or in a bucket.
Basically can be in a bucket if it really needs to be.
It's just what I was told.
Yeah.
I wasn't here for that session.
He blew himself up pretty hard, so yeah, a bucket seems fair. But yes.
I regrettably did not know him for long, so I can shed no tears. I hope he has found peace. I vote we all take a moment of time to freshen up and go over our thoughts before we discuss with Ramon.
Okay.
Well, I shall be in the study if you need me. Do make sure to tell me beforehand if you decide to go into trouble again.
I had not planned it, but I will endeavor to do so in the future. Hey, Raishiana.
Yes?
What do you think? What do you think your professors back at the college would say if they heard about what just happened here?
Well, they would probably want proof of what happened, and to hear about it from everyone involved, and to have whatever notes I took.
What do you think of it all? You need not answer me now, by all means. Enjoy your book. We'll discuss this later.
Of course. And Ray's gonna head down to the study and grab her book on the way to getting her seat.
All right.
And give Iskar's question some thought.
Fair enough. Iskar, what are you doing?
Iskar is going to get a big mug of water, and he is going to take a seat at the table, drink it, pull his cloak down, and sort of just relax. Just study his breathing. Think.
All right. I don't know how big this will be. That's pretty big. And I put in the wrong there. All right. Q, what? Oh, I lost you somewhere. Oh, you went to sleep? Writing a note. If you're saying something, I can't hear you.
I'm not. Q's ignoring everybody, not saying a word, and just walks off.
I mean, that works, but I kind of need to know that. Okay. Martha, what are you doing?
kind of watching everyone walk off, and someone does need to kind of keep an eye on these two over here.
All right, sounds good.
But also, sorry.
Sorry, what?
Gonna try and contact my patron and see if that's even available.
All right. Oh, so you did notice that Zen followed Q. I mentioned beforehand that she's not gonna... she's gonna make damn sure that Q doesn't try to do something crazy again. I digress. Forcing in a connection with a entity that is not exactly you, you imbibe and imbue the strength and solidification of the power that you once held in its singularity. Now you have two, which might pose a problem. Go ahead and roll religion.
I already did. I rolled a 4.
Oh, okay, you did.
A 2. I got 4.
Communing with the entity known as Unicorn is a little tough, as you're kind of frozen in place, both metaphorically and physically. As you commune with an entity that is not of winter, you can tell that there's a connection there. It's definitely there, hasn't gone away, hasn't disappeared, but this other strength you now have is fighting against it. Like winter does, it kills off or hibernates anything else that gets in its way. That doesn't mean that you can't go and trudge through it, but right now, as it stands, there's really no signal getting through. You can tell that something's on the other end, ready to receive it, but right now, nothing's being heard. It's possible due to the influctuation of the world that's happening, or maybe your new powers are giving a buyback cost. But you know it's possible. Just not right now.
Okay. I kind of figured, but had to try.
Also, Morthos, you can tell that Quentin, Q's thrice deceased brother, I think, is no longer fluctuating within the scope of winter. Quentin was brought back with the same resources that belong to the winter court. You can tell this due to your own gifts, as it is there is residue magic in the area that's kind of dying out on their body. Unless you decide to keep it there, it'll simply disperse and the body will no longer be animating. The curse / blessing the body was given, and due to your own gifts, you can read this because you technically now are the ownership of said power. Is a continuing life rebirth spell. If an entity is able to die within the scope and frame of or before their own expiration, meaning natural death, the body then instead goes into a symbiotic state within another entity body. A rejuvenation process then happens, causing the body to metabolize its own form for another. As soon as that transpires, the form then takes its own shape, causing the cells to divide until it presents itself into its former form. It's basically a rebirth spell, bringing back, doing this, bringing back, doing this. However, the process is excruciatingly painful. That type of cell division in a quick instance, yeah, that in itself could easily kill anyone. Quentin, in all actuality, was put into a perpetual pain prison. Fun stuff.
Yeah, let's stop that.
Alright? Simply doing nothing will prevent it from continuing on.
And no, Ray, I'm not that type of person. Orthos isn't. I had to correct that really quick.
Morthos isn't, but you are?
We're not going to discuss this.
All right. As you do so, you can tell Cerulean is also there, contemplating what to do with these two people, but also notices that you're there. So isn't going to do anything currently. But she does exclaim to you, so what do we do with these two? Currently, my husband is trying to relax. Rayshana is studying. Miss Q and Zen are disposed at the moment.
Well, Ramon's on his way, and he's bringing other people and they can deal with this, with those two.
Yes, about that. Did you give everyone like the entire information? Basically your conversation, or did you just say, "Hey, Ramon's coming in like 10 minutes"?
Well, I was discussing it openly with them about finding information on the Scarlet King.
I mean, like, I understand that part, but did you give the entire conversation of what Ramon said and what you said?
What do you mean what he said?
Like, did you give the wording he said? Or did you say, yeah, he's coming over in 10? Like, it's a summary versus script, I suppose.
Probably would have just told him how he stated it.
Okay. Then she would simply state, you did mention this, and, well, something struck me as off. He knew of Q's residence here. Either he paid a visit, or the organization itself dug a little deeper than we know.
Possibly.
That being the case, though, we can simply ask them once they arrive.
Yeah, but we'll have to probably be wary of them just in case.
I suggest writing in a spell or weaponry, perhaps laying a trap beforehand.
Wonder if his car has any more C4.
Right now, I do believe he is feeling through the motions that have transpired today, and within the few hours. If he does, I don't believe he is in the right state to do anything right now.
So, what is your suggestion on a possible trap?
Chandelier.
Alright.
It's that or the alternative, with which I don't believe the Madam of the Estate would care for, as in collapsing the room if need be.
Do you think you can set that up real quick?
Shouldn't be an issue, but I have been told to try to get people's input in things.
So, who do you want to talk to? I feel like the only one we might not have disturbed completely is Rayshana. The others are kind of off in their own world.
I do believe Miss Rayshana is within her own confines. I do not believe I would be able to go within her mindscape to pull her out.
I mean, there is one way to get her out of reading a book.
I suppose we could set the building on fire, but that would not serve the purpose of this being the meeting point.
I thought I had something for this. 1 second. How thick are these doors?
And the doors themselves, once closed, are pretty thick. No real sound goes through them. There is like small mumbling, but other than that, it's
Like, I need an actual, like, how thick they are.
4 to 3 inches.
Oh, well, then that's fine. Because I have this.
Message. Yeah, okay.
And I would probably, knowing that Zen and Q's on this side of the door, just send them the message, hey, we need to all meet and talk about something for a moment. And then probably the same with Iskar, and ask him to retrieve Ray.
Rishana.
And then you hear
That
a
was
gunshot.
quick.
Unfortunately, they need us. I'll see you in the courtyard.
Ray sighs and gets up and heads for the door.
Alright. Messaging Q and Zen, you do get a response back, but it's muddled. I don't know if Q can respond because they just said they can hear. Zen instead counteracts the message, and she simply states, "Right now, Miss. Right now, Q needs some space, and we need to discuss something. I don't think we're in the right mind to speak as a whole." And then message cuts off.
Okay, well, apparently Zen and Q will not be joining us. They're like complete. I don't know.
Can I not join us as well then?
No, you have to.
I just needed the majority of individuals, not everyone. And unfortunately, Miss Ray, you did decide to join us.
I shall keep that in mind for next time.
We may not get a secondary chance to do this, which is why it'd be beneficial to do this now. As Martha has mentioned, we will be expecting Sir Romanoff within the next 5 minutes. As that stands, it's problematic. We do not have the information that we came to this city to explore. We simply, in a sense, destroyed the foundation of a plan without realizing what the entire plan has and what the entire scope is. But that does not mean we did not succeed in the mission at hand. That being the case, though, we do not exactly know what they were doing in this town, but we likely more or less stopped it, or at the very least halted it. Sir Romanov has been here likely examining things, and when speaking with Morthos, he had mentioned that they expected us to be at Q's residence, which likely means they either visited here or took precautions to investigate us further than we had anticipated. Or there could be a third option, and simply put, he is an enemy faction leader. It's a viable option, given the circumstances that we find ourselves in, which is why I had inquired on Morthos to trapping the area that we will discuss things in. This could be simple skepticism, but it is something I had intended to bring up before I do anything too rash. Any thoughts on this?
How likely do we think that it is that he's a fraction leader? Well,
Given the circumstances of what has transpired beforehand, he has clearance of level 5 beyond the scope of our own de facto leader in Phil. That being the case, he would understand more the concepts of what has transpired here, based on the information we have, as in the two faction leaders, the one that was taken over by a hat and the other one simply of their own volition, but given the circumstances that they found themselves in, taking the names. The third one may have taken the name as well, but in their own right, given the information that they have, they'd be more than able to play the part. That being the case, though, due to the fact that he does have a higher clearance than our leader, it also seems that another plan likely is behind all this, one that Phil may or may not know. This is simple skepticism, but at this point in time, that might save our lives. However, this is and can be refuted by him if someone is able to cast a truth spell within a certain zone. After all, they were able to bring us together, which means that it's also possible that they're able to bring our past together as well. Morthos's crimson situation, Q's family ordeals, your own misgivings in the past, memory loss, and a de facto brother that you never knew you had, and Ray, your own grievances with knowledge and it being sprinkled about wherever we travel. I don't like how all this is tied together.
so you think we're being played the fool?
I believe we're being played in a role or part that they intend for us to play, but not holding so tightly that we will view things so easily. But at this point in time, given the looks at the world and quite literally vibrating circumstances, we are likely at the end phase of everything. If I am wrong, so be it, but if I'm correct, then we should have plans, just in case.
To be a bit more prepared.
What kind of plans?
My first theory was to simply collapse the room in case they were to do something, which in turn would cause them to not be able to move. Romanov seems to be a standard human without any power or knowledge, but he does possess science. The other individuals that will likely accompany him will likely be similar to us, or at the very least have some magical properties or a bit of more bulky strength to them. But not impossible to defeat. That being the case, though, I could just be pulling at strings that don't need to be pulled. Morthos did mention setting the house on fire, but I don't know how well that will hold out as well.
Not sure Q or Lady Bishop would appreciate that much.
More than likely. And since this is part of Zen's domicile, I had suggested to talk before doing so. She would probably more say expanded property, but whatever. She does state, though, that being the case, though, we still have the two behind us we can interrogate before they arrive.
And when will they be arriving?
Now, around 3 minutes. But the two behind us are simply unconscious. We simply need to rouse them.
I mean, I don't see a problem with that, personally.
The more than likely problem in it, I don't know why I say in it. The more than likely problem within this plan, however, which means we don't have time. If you are squeamish in torture, I suggest not to be involved within the Q&A portion.
I do have one thing kind of so up my sleeve. A spell I can use. I have Force Cage still available.
That would be the preferable option.
If we need it.
That's a good enough plan as any that will involve any potential damage towards any bodily individual at the very least. And given the circumstances that we find ourselves in, looking to pick another fight is not the most beneficial thing at hand. It is more than likely our best option.
Yes, regrettably, most of my options boil down to violence.
Well, like I said, I have that, and I have one other powerful spell, but I don't think that would be wise to use in this situation.
Then
I think I have my own trump card as well, but I'd rather save that for the King of Crimson.
Then I would suggest, once questioning begins, Marthos having the power to do so, and if needed be, casting a Force Cage upon them, and then simply dealing with the situation once it proceeds forwards. If it does not need to be such, then we don't need to do anything too rashly. And when we get the information, I do suggest a long rest, as not many, including myself, are in the right mindset, let alone the right strength set.
On a side note, if this is any of them are shape changers, I'll be able to tell immediately. So there will be some things to give us forewarning. So preferably if I can stand closer to the front of the group, just so I can be able to see them.
Fair enough. It's as good a plan as any we have. Well then, given a minute now, I do suggest we go visit them at the main entrance, and then bring them into the sitting room.
Alright. Do we bring these two?
I would restrain them and bring them as well, as if we don't keep an eye on them, it's possible that they are faking unconsciousness.
Yup.
And you pick them up. In the meantime, Q, you are inside of a room. Right now a plan is being hatched, but as it stands, I don't know if you're back, by the way. But I can hear you, which is why I'm doing this. What are you doing? As the time frame for Ramon/Romanov's visit is nearly upon everyone.
Well, as they were all talking and stuff in the process, when Q came in here by herself at first until Zen got there, she kind of started throwing things.
Alright. With a crash, smack, dab, and then a basically frustration grunt, Zen does meet the aftermath of that. Simply looking around, she then looks towards you, Q. I think we need to discuss a few things. What's going on?
You wouldn't understand.
I see.
Q starts trying to take off her armor.
Being more emotional than usual, I see. Yes, I won't understand because you don't tell me things. You don't talk with me. At first, I was gonna let it go, seeing how things go, but no. Every time I got hit by that shot, every time I got wounded, I should have died. The people they hit, the people they hurt. I don't know what you did, but you definitely did something. Trying to protect me, trying to save me. And now you simply jumped into a fire, trying to leave me out of this, and we all died. No, I don't understand. Because you don't tell me anything of what's going on. And that's what she says.
Q kind of just stops mid removal of her armor. You realize what we've done, right? I've literally, though may not be by my hand per se, have killed some of the most important people in my life. Do you honestly think that I would be okay?
I never said you were going to be okay. I asked what was going on with you. The secrecy, the events that have happened, everything. You invited me into your world, and yet you keep me at an arm's length.
I guess that's on me, as it's usually just been mostly me. I guess that's my fault.
She does get closer, and like she has done before, because she's better at it than you, she does know how to deal with clothing and armor. Surprisingly enough. She does help you get the armor off, and she simply states towards you. We both have faults. We don't understand what's going on, and we might never understand. The world, quite literally, vibrating right now. She doesn't say that. I do. The world quite literally might end today, tomorrow, or never. But right now, I think it's time to step back. It's not healthy for anyone. We need to talk. They need to fight. And I don't know what's going on with everyone, but right now, people need to settle what's going on with them. That's what she says.
I know Q's just kind of hasn't turned to her to look at her yet.
I'm just saying that in case you're waiting for more.
No, Q's just kind of sits there in silence for a moment. We might not have known each other long, but you seem to understand me more than I do myself.
That it's a forced smile, but it's a true smile. She does state that is why we got married.
Like you said, I think I feel I need to take a step back.
She then, after removing the armor, she does hold on to your hands and simply and definitively does state, we need to take a step back. You can't leave me as you step back. It's our life now. And unfortunately for you, you have to get used to it.
She just kind of looks at Zen finally. Kind of pulls her in a little bit closer and kind of just drops to the ground and just not lose it, but lose it.
Yeah. She comes in for an embrace. And, well, for a quick instance, you do see Zen, like you've seen beforehand, that weird messaging thing you guys have. Instead of going towards you, you can tell that it connected towards her for a brief instance, and then it stopped. And she does state, take all the time you need. I'm pretty sure that the rest can handle talking.
But we do probably will need to tell them that we're taking a step back.
That's true. But that can wait until you're ready.
I assume they're probably thinking of the next move. So we'll probably need to tell them when they get ready to do whatever they're planning on doing.
Fair enough.
So,
All right. Out of game, do you go and speak with them before the meeting? Which you like have a minute, but in game time, the minute can last a while. Or do you wait until after the conversation, or do you join the conversation and then wait until after the conversation is complete?
No, Q will get straightened up and change into some of her more casual clothes instead of their armor being equipped.
Mhm.
Clean up a little bit and put the armor on a in a little corner, all nice, not clean because I mean, there's blood and all kinds of shit on it right now.
Yeah, this used to be one of your summer homes. You never really went to it, but your mom knows how you are, so there is a dummy / mannequin there that you can place the armor on.
Q's not going to clean the armor. She tells Zen don't clean it, and she will leave a note next to it for anybody that comes in to clean the room whenever to leave it as it is. Q's going to use it as a reminder for the moment.
Mhm.
So then she'll grab Zen by the hand and head to where the other people's are.
All right. In the meantime, Zol, were you doing something, or did you just forget to move into the banquet room?
You mean Iskar?
Right. Darn it!
Legally cannot respond to Zold, actually. I was going to wipe my own blood off my armor, actually, before going back into the banquet room.
The water is still chilled. The presence of the other world still is within the water work, but it does clean things off rather well, if not wakes you up entirely. You are able to clean yourself just fine, and at the present moment in time, you're also reminded that Morthos has a connection with that world based on the presence at hand and your own circumstance. If Morthos does reside within the other world, well, visiting might be a little difficult. Or potentially, if Morthos becomes a threat, which is not likely, but potentially possible, well, this might be a good enough place to trap them on the other side. It's a thought that comes in the mind of one that tries to be prepared for every option.
Zold kind of stops short as he finishes washing away some of the blood and just kind of stares at his reflection for a moment before turning towards Cerulean.
In that brief moment in time, within the reflection, you don't recognize the two people within that reflection. Cerulean's silhouette within the water and your own. And then, in a blink of an eye, it returns to what you know you two as. Cerulean then looks towards you, Iscariot, and simply states, "So, will you be alright?"
I think I'm much better off than Q is right now. I do worry that well, I know my actions have consequences. I just hope that I am the only one that pays the price for such things.
There are many prices we all need to pay. That being said, as my best friend would say in her oh so romantic feeling way, you are married, so the price you pay is but half of a price I in turn would have to pay. I believe that's how she would phrase it. I could be wrong.
I caught myself thinking of the things that happened in that place and what happened to Morthos, and how if Morthos became a threat, I could deal with him. I'd kill him as completely as killed as could be and leave him on the other side of that portal. I'd overcharge it and sever its connection with us, and leave him stranded there. The thought crossed my mind in but an instant. It did cross it. I am a bad person, thinking of killing my friends in a way that is perfectly complete.
Not at all. I have often thought of ways to neutralize Miss Rayshana, Sir Marthos, Q, on and off again if she ever made Zen cry. And at one time or another, before we became intimate, you as well. It is a simple... No, that's not the wording I would phrase it in. It is a cautionary tale that we have lived. And it is caution that has kept us alive. I wouldn't say you're bad, unless you deem to act upon it without any necessity to. Once a means to an end is viable to you, you do take action. But only when the circumstance has played out as intended or unintended. Until today, she then states. Attacking an entity of winter was stupid. As your wife, I would advise against it, but as your wife, I understand where you're coming from. But not everyone will. I do suggest caution instead of throwing caution into the wind.
Still hear it in my nightmares. That shattering ice.
And I still hear the screams. It is something we both will bear. But it is something we both will bear. And then, in a way that would not make any romantic sense, but she is not good with it, she does state, if that wasn't clear, it means that I am your wife and I will bear the emotional stances and any or emotions that you have.
And it chuckles. So, how would you have killed me?
Well, quite simply. First a restraining spell, and then a simple fire incandescent spell to explode any explosives you have, as well as any charges you might have on your body. You carry a lot of them.
My general plan for you spellcasting types is all the same. It's to drown you. Can't cast spells if you're busy struggling for breath now, can you?
Quite true. You would lose vocal components as well as visual components, and if you are frantic, you'd lose somatic components as well. Very thorough. It was one of the options I had inquired of Miss Rayshana, but more freezing than drowning. More pragmatic. And then Cerulean opens the door. The conversation ended, but Morthos and Ray, with the weird feeling in the area, there might have been a weird conversation. As Martha moves over. Martha's your metagaming, bro. I don't know why I said bruh, but I did.
Yeah, are you British now?
Now he's a little teeny bopper. Wow, I just made myself feel old.
You made me feel old too, Jesus.
You're younger than me. Shut up.
Not by long.
Not by long.
Not by much. Shut
Not
up.
by width, but by height? Maybe. Okay. Q, I'm going to drag you with the rest of the group.
Yeah, because I'm not at my...
Yes. Eventually, the team does come forward. Ray, was there anything you wanted to discuss with Morthos before everything else? I need to give Q and Iskar's, what's it called? A spotlight. Anything to add, Ray or Morthos?
Nope.
I'm looking over everything just to make sure. No, that's something to deal with another character. We're good.
Oh, okay. And the word I meant to say was vignette, but I forget words.
We know.
Yeah. One of you tells Q's mom to wait in the kitchen with the staff. One of the staff comes over as soon as the door is knocked, and then presents the entire team that Ramon... Well, maybe not the entire team, but the team that Romanoff has brought forwards. Tom then introduces you to them because it's what they have to do each time. Q, I present to you Sir Romanoff and the entourage that they travel with. If you'll excuse me. I do need to tend to your mother and her drinking. Often not, they do have to do that. But, Ramon, as you know him, well, I think I gave you guys his last name a long time ago, but it's Romanoff, in case you couldn't tell. But Ramon does come forwards. Alright then, it's been a while. Q, Zen, Ray, Cerulean, I don't think he knows your new name. Zold and Morthos, how have you all been?
Could be better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Based on the world quite literally shaking, I do believe they could be better. Now then, you did mention that you had brought about two individuals. No, I think you said a group. A group of individuals that we need to restrain and hold until necessary.
Well, they're restrained. That's what I had forgot to mention. I would have checked to make sure they were properly restrained
Yeah, I think
when I brought them in.
Iskar and Q wrapped them up. Iskar blindfolded to gag them in case they were spellcasters. Very thorough.
Thorough.
While I say this, I'm going to look at each of them to see if any of them change forms or have a different form.
Looking upon them, you can't tell if they've changed forms or look different. They have or don't have any camouflage spells, any polymorph spells upon them, but the garb of which they wear is quite literally an effective disguise, air quotes. The first one to the far left does seem to have that a flat mask made out of wood with two eyes similar to that of an owl. The hair is black with curls upon it, and a bright brimmed top hat. Well, it's brown, but it's light brown. Placed upon their head. They do seem to be more or less like a stereotypical plague doctor, other than the mask. But other than that, no like sprouted invisible wings, no demonic horns, no angelic voice. Just looks like a plague doctor, but a little bit differently. The next one with the red hair does seem to be oozing shadow, but honestly, you saw that before they got in here. So, looking upon them, you can tell that no form changes, but you can tell that in line within the blood work of this being is how should I describe this? The ancestral form of a demonic presence. That just means that in their ancestral line, there might have been a demon, devil that, well, when two people love each other very much, I'm going to stop there, gave birth, and then etc., and then this person came about. They do have a half-donned mask upon their form. Their hands themselves are black, but you're not exactly sure if it's gloves or their actual skin. But their nails themselves do stand down edge at a point. But they also look filed, so it's possibly just cosmetic. The next individual does seem to have 4 protruding horns upon their head. Looking within the visor's scope, this does seem to be a dragonborn, clad in heavy set armor, not exactly tall, standing at 5 feet 5, but they are well ready to fight. They don't have any armaments present, like no hands with gripped weapons. It's all at the hilt. You see a long, massive blade, but not being borne on anyone. But this guy is ready to fight. But again, no visible deformations caused by magic. The last one is dressed in yellow, darker complexion skin, but with green eyes, indicating that of a potential. What's it called? It's what warlocks have. Patron? With a fey connection or the like, or maybe something having to do with green. That sometimes happens based on how strong the individual is. All that means is this person has power or is given power by some other source. They have short, curly hair, but other than that, adorn light armor, but with yellow filigree all about it. No one stands out, but you can tell that based off of their own looks and how things are, you guys are like stronger than this entire team. Not put together. No, well, yes, put together, like team versus team. Your team can take them. But individually, they are maybe a little bit weaker than you. Not by a large margin, but by a significant amount that you wouldn't feel threatened. That's entirely up to you how you feel. So I'll leave it at that.
And Ramon doesn't look different than what I'm used to seeing.
He has his lab coat, green short with a collar on it. His white gloves, a long, unkempt hair. His bluish eyes, little emerald. But nothing else. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay. Our first concern here is the information you might be able to pass on to us. Because from my understanding, that situation is by far more dangerous.
Well, if we do need to discuss things, I suggest we do it before taking people into custody, as we would need to be mobile to do that, and if we are mobile, it's it's viable that potential enemies are about and wandering. So here is as good a place as any. What would you like to discuss?
The information you have on the being that we call the Crimson King.
The entity we discussed beforehand in conversation of the mind. Basically, your message thing. He just said it weirdly. He does look towards you and simply states, well, very well then. It has been some time since I've spoken with you all, and you all deserve to know what's going on. If you do have any qualms, I would suggest speaking them up now, but I am going to order my team to disarm themselves, if that's alright with you.
kind of look at the rest of the team.
Wait, he's saying he's gonna order his team to disarm themselves?
Yes.
I don't see why I'd have a problem with that. Ray just shrugs.
Zold shrugs in kind.
Zold?
It's because I screwed up the first time.
His car. Yeah. Also drinking pretty heavily right now.
It happens.
His car shrugs as well.
Alright then. He does look towards his team, and one by one you do see that the Plague Doctor drops what appears to be suture knives, small bits of potions here and there. They don't break or shatter. They're placing them on the ground. They're not just dropping everything. The woman themselves does bring down one very long, curved longsword to the ground, 2 prismatic blades next to it. The person next to her, the Dragonborn, not uncleaves, removes the giant, almost cleaver-like blade, places it on the ground, and that's honestly all his weapons. And the one dressed in yellow removes what appears to be 2 throwing hammers to the ground, 2 long swords from her back, and surprisingly enough, she then comically removes a lance, 10-foot lance, from her left pocket, and then places it on the ground.
I thought I was happy to see Cerulean sometimes.
Boo! But moving on. Romanoff then states, as it stands now, you deserve the truth, and once explicitly told, you will likely be angry about things. This is more of a reassurance that you won't be attacked. At least, if you are attacked, not well, I suppose. But that's only if you try anything. You're more than welcome to. Honestly, I can't take any of you in a fight, let alone all of you. Your world, more or less, is a parallel to our own, but not exactly as our own. We have theorized for some time that this place had an entity similar to ours that we face. It's in our world known as the Scarlet King. In yours, it's the Crimson King. As such, it is a near complete and utter wipe of all organisms within the world it resides in and is allowed to roam in. And as it stands now, it does seem that each key, represented by your own way of locking this thing away, has been broken. Which is why when you first brought up the mention of Morthos and Zen being keys, to keep them in a safe location. But at the exact same time, I was given instructions to act upon this world as I would a counterforce in my own world. As it stands now, your world has been used as a not playing ground, poor choice of words, a test site. Since your own individuals have humans, but your own sets of rules, we had decided... No, that's a poor choice of words as well. There is a council I adhere to. They had decided to designate myself as the acting counterforce within your world, and to make sure that everything within your world plays a part in order for us to gather data and to save our own when the time comes. the organization you work for is part of my own organization, but parallel. Phil themselves has been designated as the governing order of our organization. The Chaos Insurgency has been used as a cover to placate you on finding the individuals at large to prevent them from damaging your world as well as anything else around it. Which is where you and your team come in. You yourselves are acting as field agents, which are parallel to our own, but you have the distinct advantage of magic and everything else you adorn. In mine, you would likely be called reality benders, and if you do travel to my own world, will likely be locked up and throw away the key. But thankfully enough, you're not in my world. We needed other players, however, so we introduced 2 more. One we use as the beneficial structure, known as, well, we manufactured a way of bringing someone in, but we needed a vessel, and we found a woman that was able to adorn it and house it. I assume you know who I'm speaking of.
Marthos?
No, he is a key. The woman that went mad with power and played the role they needed to play. If you don't understand, it was Dr. Wondertainment.
Oh.
Another placated person that we used was, well, looks towards Marthos. Actually, you did take care of that one. However, that was someone with a gripe against our organization due to their own connection with this. Looks towards you for confirmation.
My brain is bringing up a 0 on this one, so please remind me.
If you don't remember, it's quite alright. It was. He doesn't say ba ba ba. That was me. If you do not remember, it's quite alright. But it was Anderson Robotics. And the last one was used as a cover story. Unfortunately, that individual died upon transfer here. The way we came about this place was using a few SCPs within the woodwork. Those that could breach the portals here, but not a way back. However, the portal was unstable, and they died in the process. Still, though, it served its purpose, and everyone was assigned their own governing presence. Thankfully enough, though, you managed to kill them before questioning any of them, which would have caused a fluctuation, but not within any parameters we haven't set foot in. That being the case, though, we were supposed to long-term study your world until, more than likely, someone managed to kill all 7 keys or break all 7 keys. Your expedient way of doing things accelerated the testing field time. And the Council of 5 isn't exactly prepared for this circumstance.
Do we know where he'll enter from?
We have found the location of where they'll be entering from. It's a temple site within the scope and range of the border of Mist and Isle. Isle being your kingdom, and Mist being the kingdom to the east. That being the case, though, based on our own information, It'll take 3 days until the entire rupturing in the world commences. So within that time and scope, you will have time to prepare. Again, this was supposed to be a long-term study, but given the circumstances now, it is no longer necessary to keep up the charade. So it stands now. You each have now been granted level 5 clearance, and as soon as I get back to the main office, I will now grant Ramon his level 5 clearance as well, and he'll likely punch me in the face. But it is the job I was assigned to do. I am to treat my world as top priority, not your own. Yes, he meant Phil. My bad.
So you keep saying it's an experiment, the testing field. The only thing I hear you saying is a sacrifice.
Only if the agents in hand weren't able to do anything. Which is why we made sure you were aware of the situation at hand. Each field agent was assigned a place, a marker, a destination to keep things at bay as much as possible. But you are correct. People have died. People will continue to die, and as it stands now, your world may die all right and holy. But as I stated beforehand, your world to me is second priority.
Well, remember one thing. This is our world, so it's first priority now.
Yes, which is why I'm granting you clearance.
Won't care about your clearance.
What I'm hearing is you've got all these horrible things in your world that you're bringing over here to experiment with and not caring if what happens to this world.
Oh no, we very much do care. In fact, that's the entire
Because-
reason why we brought you here.
Right.
I don't think now's the time to be at one another's throats.
Quite right, which is why I made sure my team was disarmed beforehand.
72 hours, right?
72 hours.
How long would it take to get there from here?
If you have a long-range teleportation spell, not that long. If you're traveling by foot, 3 weeks. Luckily, I do have a scroll I can lend you. Well, you can have. After it's used, it's no longer viable.
Probably be for the best. I'm sure Rayshana would like to conserve their strength.
Quite right. He does, He does move his hand, that his palm is facing downwards, and with his left hand, touches the top of his glove, and immediately you do see a scroll emerge out of, not thin air, but definitely his glove. And then he tosses it over towards Rayshana. Rayshana, you can catch it or it'll land on the table. It's entirely up to you.
I'll just let it land on the table.
With that, it finishes landing on the table. Right. I also have another scroll that you can use, but with the current abilities that you have, it may not be necessary. He taps his other glove, and another scroll emerges with the spell known as Sending. He tosses it over to Ray, and it lands on the table once more. These were options viable to you later on down the line, but it seems later on is today.
Yo, is there a magic circle in this home?
Q, you would know that there is no magic circle within this home.
Yeah.
There is like a studying circle you can imbue magic in, but it's not really a magic circle.
There's not.
Well, I only have 3 days. I need to stop by Ironworks. If nothing else. I suggest we stop wasting time.
I suggest you get some rest.
And
That's
what
just mine.
going about this problem you brought about?
Pardon? Like, actually, pardon. I didn't hear what you said.
And what will you be doing about this problem?
Oh, quite honestly, we will be evacuating as many people as possible within a... Sorry, motorcycle. Within a area that we can house them until things have cleared off. We have been working within the shadows, if you do not remember that. Gaining information on how to stabilize a portal as well as refine one to make sure it holds for a while. The information you've gathered while you were in hell, the scientists you brought about, as well as other governing factors as the raw materials within the mountains. We're not so petty that we would not help your world, but we cannot save everyone. But that's only a bandage between a very large problem. Still though, even if we were not here, you likely would have faced this problem, regardless of us being here. Looking at Morthos, he does state, given the circumstances that you've all lived through, more than likely you would have all, maybe not within the time span we were all together, but definitely within your own lifespans. After all, you've met the individuals as the Council of Five in your world, which would be the O5 Council in ours. You've met individual groups that have their own vast interests that are parallel to our own. You've seen people, you've brought about things, and we've tried to more or less use them as best as possible, but at the end of the day, they could only work with so much technology, so we had to integrate our own into it. So you're right, Miss Rayshana. Your world is the primary focus you should attend to. That being said, I did say it was the second thing I care about. And the second thing is better than not caring at all. But you're more than welcome to your emotions. I know I would have some. That being the case, though, we have no information on the Scarlet King themselves, other than the fact that there is a potential viable option presented to you, but they're still young, so I'm afraid that likely won't be possible. So anything you've brought about that isn't from our world, I suggest you use it to your benefit. Quite honestly, we have never presented ourselves with this current circumstance. We had intended for this to happen within the next 10 years, having portals ready at each town and each station with our fundings, to make sure that any problems at hand could be dealt with by sending people away. Now, with that option gone, quite honestly, the future rests in your potential hands. I'm not asking each of you to handle this, but I do suggest you keep it in mind. If you're not able to handle this at the moment, there are other ways you can help. By helping people evacuate, by making sure that people survive this mess. As soon as the rupture opens, its children will be let loose. This entity is of many worlds, not just my own, which does mean that it likely has bred other children outside of your own world's confines.
It is even more important that we stop wasting time sitting about this table as though we know what to do. We should get to the capital and tell the ruler. Let him know that on the morrow to start telling people to bunker down, to prepare.
Right.
We don't want to incite a panic until we've done our own rest and gotten our own abilities and the like taken care of, but...
Quite right. As I mentioned beforehand, our study does state 3 days, but it can potentially be 5 to a week. But honestly, we have never faced this problem at hand. So leave this to your contemplation. That being said, though, after all said and done, and after everything I have done, I will give you this piece of advice. Other than the gloves of holding that I possess on me, I possess no magic. Use that information as however you will. I don't intend to change that. Now then, if you'll excuse me, do you mind if I take these two, or looking towards the 2 captives you have in the corner? Or do you intend to hold on to them until you feel right?
Hey, Red, I have a question for you.
Are you talking to... her. She's unconscious.
Splash the rest of my water on her.
She wakes up. What?
Do you know him?
I don't think so. And then looks toward... Who are you? Where's the counter?
Awfully rude to forget someone who you flirted with.
Looks at you quizzically. Because she didn't. She does state, though. They're all forgetful. That being said, though, I adhere to a boss. And I don't see their face often enough. They wear a mask. It's better that way for me, for them, after all. They can't obviously fall in love with this face without truly looking at it. And who knows, maybe they're hideously awful underneath that mask. At this, Romanov does state, for the record, I do use a mask when talking with them.
Right.
If I didn't, it'd be easier to have found me out long before this.
Okay. I think we have things to attend to.
Oh, Ramon, one thing.
Yes.
Just gonna walk up to him. Morthos will hold back because he does know he has a lot more strength than normal people. But he's gonna punch him in the mouth.
Are you doing so little damage that you only do 1 point of damage, or are you doing so much damage that it's your full strength? Not your full strength, but your full plus blah blah blah.
No, just to hit him.
Okay.
Because he's frustrated at this point.
Smack! It does hurt. I will tell you, Ramon's human. Honestly, with your full strength behind it, you could honestly kill him. So, enough to make it hurt, but not enough to kill him. Holding yourself back. It definitely does leave a red bruise. The people behind you do come at attention at this, but Ramon puts his hand up to indicate stop. To them, not you. But he does compose himself once more, and now with a very red mark on his jaw that has swelled at this point, honestly. Right, well, as I mentioned beforehand, use the information as however you will. He basically bends to the ground and with his glove, warps all of their weapons into his glove. Now then, do take care. And they leave. In the background, the red-headed woman is making asinine remarks, but I'm not going to play that out. But Cerulean does look at the team and then simply states, well, we got the information we needed, but not the information that was beneficial to us. That being the case, though, more than likely he did intend for us to take revenge once this is all over. That being the case, though, 3 days, which isn't a lot of time, but enough time to rest. And to think things over.
We'll rest once I have attended some other matters. If anyone would like to come to the capital with me, by all means. I think once there I can deal with Ironworks and Rusty.
I do need to
take care of some things and repurchase another scroll. I think we've a conversation to be had with Philip. I'd like to see if our new privileges let us requisition a bit more material. And then we rest, and we go towards that temple.
Cerulean does state that she does need to visit the capital to obviously visit her sister and not tell her the entire thing, because obviously she doesn't want them to panic, but basically to settle the matters at hand. Also, when you guys are resting, I'm already going to tell you this now, Cerulean is going to leave in the middle of the night. She's not evil, but she's going to have her own adventure outside the game where she finds her little brother that is technically in this town. Well, evil's... I'm not saying she's not evil, but she's not plotting your downfall. She's just going to visit them.
Okay, there is a difference between evil and crazy. We know which one she is.
Okay.
I think she's just selfish.
That woman, cray cray.
She's a bitch.
That's my wife.
I don't fucking care.
Anyway, so moving on.
Kill at this point. Take a kind of sit up straight. I do have something to say to everyone before business is taken care of.
By all means, speak.
Me and Zen have talked, and I will be taking a step back from everything. I'm just not in the right state of mind to help and make sure no one dies. As we know of this past encounter, I cannot even keep myself alive. So I had decided to take a step back, and Zen informed me that she will be staying with me. I wish you all the best. All of my resources are available to you guys. But I will be staying here with my family.
Thank you for bequeathing us your resources, but I cannot condone your decision, but I will not chide you for it either. Miss Bishop, it has been a privilege.
Indeed.
Cerulean does look towards you, Q. Looking at the circumstances at hand, this is probably preferable for her. And in a weird way, she does... Well, I'll do this in-game. Take care of her.
Nods. Always.
And it says nothing more.
Zan, I assume that there's no way I could convince you to come, at least briefly.
I won't be able to join the fight, but where to exactly?
No, the fight is the concern. I would be remiss if I didn't at least attempt to ask. But, again, I will respect your decision. And similarly, it has been a pleasure.
Likewise. I can help you with one thing, though. If you do manage to go and speak with Phil, I did learn my trade from my older sister. I don't know if she's as resolved in her studies as she was before, but she might be a good counter from losing me. Although, if you need someone that can hit like a truck... oh wait, she wouldn't be able to... She wouldn't say truck. That can hit as strong as Morthos. My older brother might be able to help you as well. But my family would likely not allow more than one to go.
Very much, though I worry that we might have asked your family for far too much already.
They are very giving when it means helping out those that they care for. Q, you know this immediately. However, it can also be overbearing. Back in game though. If you do ask them, they're more than willing to help. And my mom and dad's children are very adventurous when it comes to these sort of things. That being the case, though, you could potentially ask Phil for a recommendation on filling the role.
No, I think... Come what may.
She nods. But Cerulean then looks towards Morthos and Rayshana. And Morthos and Rayshana, what are your intentions to moving forwards?
Need some time to think this over.
That's more than fair, but I would suggest Contemplating a yes, as if the world is destroyed, your information in books and tomes would likely disperse.
Let it be known here and now that should it come to it, I shall face this king by myself if I must.
Civilian smacks you in the back of the head. Like, there's no emotional stance behind it. It's just smack. Says nothing.
Scar cracks a slight smile.
Well, I mean, I would prefer to see the world continue on, personally. So I'll be seeing this through to the end. And also, I feel like I owe Ramon another punch to the face.
Potentially, too.
Would you like to join us at the Capitol?
Yes, because I need to situate things with Ironworks myself, since technically I am the owner.
Like I said, I plan to use this teleport scroll to get to the Capitol and then purchase another one from there and go to Roanoke and speak with Phil. And then purchase another one from Star and continue onward.
I was about to say, there's like 2 places, but one of them's gone. But Star can provide you with one, thankfully.
So,
What do we do with these two?
The redheaded woman, is still talking nonsense. By the way, she hasn't stopped.
I thought Ramon took them.
Yeah, I thought he did too.
He asked, "Should I take these, or should I wait until you guys
Never
have?"
mentioned if he should or not.
Yeah. So based off of the punch, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wait until they cool down." So he excused himself. You can still contact them though. Like, you don't need to hear his response. You just can like call him and say, "Yeah, come get him," and then end the call before he can respond.
Miss Bishop, it is not my place to relieve you of anything you have been issued. Should you tire of the captives, please recontact Ramon and see them out.
Yeah, that's not a problem. I do wish you the best. Like I said, while in the capital, feel free to use as much as you need. And I'll get up and I'll walk over to Iskar, and I will hand him one of the emblems, not the one that I just had remade, but the one that was originally made after the renaming. Because the one that has the bond is still on me. That's the one that replaced. I'm giving him the other pin.
The non-magical one.
Yeah, the non-magical one. You can use this in the capital to exert some authority if need be.
I shall endeavor to use it wisely.
But everything happens for a reason. And I wish y'all all the best.
How soon do we plan to head to the capital?
I plan to head almost immediately. I will rest once my chores are taken care of.
Well, I still have a spell left that can get us there if you'd like to save that scroll.
If you wouldn't mind, I would not ask such a thing from you, but if you are offering.
allow me a chance to grab a few books from here before we leave?
Yes. Also, there's something I'd like to speak with Q about privately.
Okay. Then I'll be back.
Just kind of, I guess, wander outside and see this random person standing here.
Did I leave someone there? Oh, oops. Why is he here?
I don't know.
That's why we asked you.
Isn't that Tom?
No, Tom's down in the kitchen.
Oh.
Oh, that's right.
Remember, he's
I copied
So
and
yes.
pasted the entire group when you guys teleported
It
here.
was probably one of the other people at the bars that got pulled.
Yeah, I think it was one of the other dead bodies you brought. But it wasn't an enemy, so it didn't matter.
anyway. Q. I am happy that we have traveled together. It does sadden me to see you and Zen stay behind, but there is something I wish to give you and to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I picked this up in your home, which he will pull out the teddy bear. Which makes it where you cannot be charmed or put to sleep. So you can't be forced to sleep. And then also, he will pull out that expensive box that a certain someone chucked into the lake.
What expensive? Oh. You
Yeah.
just kind of look. He's like, So you saw that, huh?
Yeah. Do me a favor. You know, before this whole possible end of the world thing happens, and he's going to forcefully shove it into her arms. Do this right.
Understand.
And also, this teddy was from your mansion that I happened to randomly pick up.
Yeah, I know it. I've had that since I was a kid.
Well, perhaps it will bring you some comfort here.
No, it's from my father trying to make me be a girly girl.
Well, there's some special enchantments on it you might want to look into. But either way, like I said, try and do that right this time. I know you two didn't care for the rings, but hey, world's coming to an end. Better enjoy this while you can.
True.
Well, unless we have anything to say about it.
Yeah.
But